I told no one I'd booked this gig. I've been paranoid for the past 6 months that like I'd get found out.
Quick question. How do voice actors receive lucrative and career-altering roles in business and entertainment, especially when they're just starting out? Well, getting behind the mic today is Isla Campbell, whose very first voice acting role was to voice Clove, the newest addition to the Valorant universe. Valorant is a free-to-play tactical first-person shooter that has taken the gaming community by storm, with a roster that boasts over 25 distinct agents, each with their own unique abilities and backstory. Join me as I sit down with Isla to discover their origins in the voiceover industry, exploring the pivotal moments that shaped their career and led them to voice Clove's character. So, Isla, you're new to the voiceover industry, and being Clove from Valorant is your first voice acting gig, let alone your very first professional voice acting gig. So, I guess my first question is then, how was your first experience as a voice actor in the industry?
Crazy. I think like already it's my first gig as a voice actor, which is a lot, but having it be Valorant is kind of crazy. And I know how lucky and fortunate I am as a performer for that to be my first ever voice acting gig. It's been overwhelming, like very, very overwhelming, but I've loved like every minute of it. It's just so much fun. Like, yeah.
And because this was your first voice acting gig, what exactly were you doing before you heard about this audition, this opportunity, and before you got to even have a shot at playing Clove?
Well, I was at uni, and I was really, really lucky to book my first TV show through Spotlight. Like, I was unrepresented, like, I just applied on a whim, ended up booking it, and then panicked because I was in a professional space, didn't have an agent, didn't know what was going on, panicked, emailed an agent in Scotland and was like, please represent me. And I got representation, and that was before I graduated. And then I was going on a big graduation trip with my best friend to London to see Mamma Mia. Don't ask questions. It's a great musical. But I messaged my agent, like, again, I literally had signed with her like 3 days prior, being like, I'm going to be in London for the next weekend. Don't book me in for anything because I'm going to be away. And she got back to me and was like, funnily enough, there's actually an audition in London if you want to go to it. And I was like, yeah, sure. Knew nothing what I was getting into. Like, I just was like, it's my first audition. I'm not going to book it. It'll be a giggle. Let's go. And it was Valorant. It was that. And so I kind of I did fall into it in a way because I didn't really know what I was getting into. I went into the booth and they were just like, do whatever feels natural to you. And that's what I did. And it's so I kind of found myself in voice acting. I feel kind of bad being like, I didn't intentionally go out to become a voice actor. However, I adore it so much, and like as an actor, it's amazing, you know. But yeah, that's how I booked the gig.
Yeah. So then I wanted to kind of ask like more about that. So because you never intentionally went to be a voice actor, because your background is mainly comprised of theater.
Exactly.
And I was wondering, were you kind of keeping your options open and voice acting was just one of the opportunities that presented itself? Or were you looking at other acting opportunities, really?
Not really. I'm kind of... This makes me sound like a child. But basically, the reason I love acting is because I love to play pretend. Like, at its core, throw all the books, throw Chekhov and all that crap at the window. I really love playing pretend. And I do not care what medium it's in. I've done, like, my two professional gigs are TV and voiceover. I've mainly been experienced in theatre because most actors, that's what they start off in. So I don't discriminate between the media forms, you know. I like them all. But voice acting, I just never expected to get into. It wasn't something on my radar. Like, I don't know why, because I really love it and I want to do more of it. But just when I graduated, I think I was kind of, my brain was going for the linear film, theatre, TV, because that's what you're trained to do at uni, especially when you do acting at uni. But yeah, so I didn't intentionally go out to do voice acting, but it was never not something I was going to do, you know? That makes sense.
Yeah. So after your audition, after you nailed it, and then they got in touch asking you to do more, was there anyone you had reached out to ask for advice or tips on how to improve your performance so you can make Clove the best voice possible?
Genuinely, no. But that's not because of ignorance, but because I was so scared of like Riot living in my walls. Like I told no one I'd booked this gig, like not even my actor friends.
Wow.
Like I've been paranoid for the past 6 months that like I'd get found out. But the person who kept me like sane throughout the process was Ian McKenna, who runs Offbeat Studios in Edinburgh. So the way we recorded was there's a team in LA, a team in London, and a team in Edinburgh here. And it did mean the only person that was in person that I saw face to face was Ian, and he was the only person that I could talk to face and be like, I booked this gig of a lifetime right now. Like, and he kept me sane. And he also like has been in the industry for so long. He's recorded so many games, so many albums, audiobooks, everything. And I do think that like I learned so much from him, and it's just like knowledge, because he's done it for so long, that he was a big thing that kept me like sane and kept me quite composed. And I give a lot to him, but he was also the only person I could talk to because I was so afraid that Riot were in my walls.
And have you gotten close with the other Valorant voice actors?
Yeah, it's really nice. It's like we have a group chat of all the VAs, but like I've become friendly with Miranda, who voices Sky, and that was because Miranda posted a TikTok reacting to Clove's trailer. And it was at midnight on the 26th, which was when I was allowed to start talking about Clove. So I was like, I'll post like midday being like, I'm Clove. But I saw this TikTok and I was like, legally, I can message her. So I messaged her at 1 a.m. being like, hi, Clove's VA here, thanks so much. And then the two of us chatted that night, and it was like she was sending me voice notes and stuff. It was wild. Because, like, obviously, I'd been in hiding for 6 months, listening to her voice and doing all that stuff. So it was really weird to have her on the other end of my phone. But all the VAs, like, well, a good portion of them have reached out to me since. The wildest one was Jason, who voices Omen, because he's also the voice of Megatron in Transformers. I lost my mind when he messaged me. Because I phoned my mate, I was like, Megatron's in my DMs. Like... Because it's so new to me. Like, this whole world is so new to me. Yeah. But yeah, the Valorant VAs are just like the sweetest gang. Like, they've all sent me really lovely messages. It's been the best. Yeah.
And because they're so friendly, you definitely feel like you can be yourself when you're recording as well, because you know their interactions are going to be positive. Would you say that's also because of your theater experience during your university years, really, that helps you be so confident?
Absolutely. Like, I think for most actors, like having a basis in theater, it's great, and it makes you quite adaptable, and also like to be able to cope in very overwhelming situations. Because like I've done theater, I've been like viscerally overwhelmed since I was like 10 doing stage shows, and then I go into a booth where I'm completely fish out of water, second ever job, and I can still keep the head, like keep calm the whole time, which is great. I definitely attribute like growing up in the theater to how I work in professional environments now. Absolutely.
Yeah. And especially because it's really good that you've been able to experience that sort of growth where you could take the skills you've learned from theater for performing for tens or hundreds of people into a booth where you're performing for millions of people in the Valorant fan base, really. So that really does seem to emphasize that you have a skill set that will lead to further growth down the road. And I think it makes out for a promising voice acting career as well as a promising acting career in general, really.
I hope so. Because, like, to be honest, voice acting for me, especially for Clove, Clove's my only example, but it's like I approached it from very like a practical acting like way of like, if my character had to jump, I was jumping in that booth. Like, I was like, and getting really like cringily physically into it, because that's the only way that I could make the lines sound real, which was funny at times. But yeah, I do attribute a lot of my like theatre and like just the practical training that I got at uni to like how I work in the industry.
Yeah. I also wanted to ask you, were there any memorable moments that you can recall during your audition or recording additional voice lines for Clove?
So my audition was I'm not going to say the worst audition because I did book it. So like, I don't know what happened, but basically I was on this trip with my friend to London, and obviously I was like, great, I've got this big audition for an unknown project at this point. Did not know what I was auditioning for. And I woke up in the morning and I felt really, really unwell. And my mate looked at me and was like, you're not well. And I was like, I'm fine. My throat was like closing up and I was a bit hot, but I was like, that's fine. So I got ready, went to the audition at like, I think it was like 11 a.m. So got in the underground. Also, I'm in London, completely fish out of water for me. Like it is like taking a Victorian child to like modern day. I'm like, what is going on? So I'm like, I get there and I'm still feeling really, really sick. And then I'm in the booth and I realize, I'm violently unwell and I'm sweating. And every time they played my voice back to me, you could hear my like snot and like mucus in the background. And I was like, oh my God. And they're like, do you want a glass of water? I was like, it's fine. I've got a bottle of water in my bag. And I go to my bag and I pick up my bottle of water and it's empty. And I was like, really strange. I thought it was full. Like when I left the house, odd. Go back to record it. And I'm at this point, like, I can't stand. I'm so unwell. And then we finish the audition. I pick up my bag and there's a puddle on the ground.
Oh no.
And my bottle had exploded. And there was a puddle on the ground and I didn't know what to do because it was my first ever audition. And I saw the director walk towards the door. I was like, oh my God. Grabbed my bag, ran to the door. She went to shake my hand and I went, bye, and slitted and left. And walking down the street and I was like swaying side to side. I was so sick. And then threw up.
Oh no.
And I had COVID.
Oh.
I then got home. I got home and tested, and I had COVID. And I was like, oh my God. And I was like on the phone to my agent. I was like, I'm so sorry. I definitely didn't book that. I'm so sorry. And then we just assumed that I hadn't booked it because I was violently unwell. And like, they obviously saw something. But the audition was crazy.
Yeah. No, they clearly saw something that you did in that audition. They clearly liked your voice. They clearly liked your performance. Otherwise, they wouldn't have asked you back. I think that would have been difficult for anyone in the voice acting industry, veteran or beginner, really. But the fact that you came out ahead and you still landed the role, I still think that's pretty impressive, despite having a few moments and all that. But it still went well.
Yeah, I know. And then like my recall was even like more ridiculous because they were like, do you speak Gaelic? And I was like, no, but I speak Scots. And then someone, it wasn't the director because he knew what Scots was, but someone went, and what is Scots? And I went, it's like English but worse. I don't know why I said it. And then I literally went, oh, and I was like, I don't know why I said that. I was like, oh my God. Nah, it was, but clearly they saw something from me just being a bit.
No, they clearly know you had a good voice. They clearly knew you had a good voice, and even though there were moments where it may have gotten a little awkward post audition, the delivery went fine.
Completely. Yeah, there's, it's just the whole process of booking Clove was like every single time I was like, I've not booked it. And then also because I'm so new to the industry, when I got the email being like, we'd like to invite you in for like a session, I was like, okay, I can't remember what the word they used, but I didn't know what the word meant. So, but because I'm doing really cool things, but I am still mentally entry level, I really don't want to ask questions. I know since I have learned to ask questions, but at this point in time, I was like, I'm not asking questions. I'm going to pretend I know what I'm doing. So I was like, no problem, I'll be there. And I show up, and they're all on Zoom, all in LA, and they go, well, welcome to Valorant. And I literally went, oh, so I booked it. And they were like, that's what the email. They were like, that's what the email said. And I was like, oh yeah, sure, of course it did. I didn't know till that point in time that I'd booked it, and I booked it 2 weeks prior.
Yeah.
I just didn't register because I didn't want to ask questions. So that's my advice to most people, is ask questions.
That's what I wanted to ask you next. So like, as a beginner voice actor, is there anything that you've experienced so far that you want other beginners to be aware of as they enter the industry?
I think my main advice is just like, keep calm. And also, I kept on reminding myself throughout the whole process is like, there's a reason I'm here, because especially for young performers, and I assume probably people as well, people that are entering the industry, it can get really bad with like imposter syndrome and feel like you don't belong in this room, but you do, and there's a reason that you're there. And if you, that's my main thing, because that was a big thing I struggled with when I was doing Valorant, of being like, I don't belong here. This isn't a room that I'm meant to be in. Well, there's a reason I booked the job, you know?
No, so that's sound advice, especially for beginners, because like you're saying, so it's important to remember that you did book a role, so you do belong there. And it's also important to like center yourself because you got that audition, and to kind of like dispel all the nerves and all the reasons to think you don't belong there, really. So I think that's a good piece of advice, really. Yeah.
Center yourself, but also like remain grounded. Like, there's a reason you're there, but you're not the best person in the room, and you're never going to be the best person in the room because everyone's equal, or like you're crap, you know? Like, I am very against being like, I'm the star of the show, because you're not. Like, chill out.
Yeah.
But there's a reason you're there. Don't be that's kind of like the middle ground there, you know?
So, after you had booked after you nailed the audition and then they asked you to come back, how did you go about creating Clove's voice as well as their personality, really? Because their character seems rather peppy.
Basically, I kind of went into it when I got first sent the brief and everything of, Clove is me aged 15. And that's where I went with it. And still, to this day, that's how Clove is voiced, is me going, I'm 15 years old, let's go. Because it's my voice. Like, 'cause I'm not really doing a voice. It's me, but a bit pitched up and a bit more enthusiastic. Me with sparkle. I'm joking, but
no, that definitely shows.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah, me with sparkle. No, completely. That's how I kind of approached Clove's voice. Is
right.
Me, but a bit more peppy. I'd love to do more voice acting jobs where I do other voices, because I can do other voices. But right now, Clove is me.
Yeah. And I kind of wanted to ask you that as well. Do you have currently any set goals for your acting or your voice acting career going forward at the moment?
I kind of want to like stay in both territories, if that makes sense. Like, because I've found a real like delight and love for voice acting, but I also really love stage and film and theatre acting. Sorry, stage, film, TV acting. So I kind of want to continue with both. This is just I'm a nerd at my core. I am a nerd. I really want to do an audiobook, and I know that that's a really like weird goal, but I really want to do an audiobook.
No, not. I think that's a perfectly adequate goal because you get to voice a character you like in the type of voice you like.
Yeah.
So I would totally want to hear an audiobook from you in the future at some point.
And if I did an audiobook, I would obviously like speak better, but like enunciate probably. But yeah, and like in my head, I'm trying not to say like voice acting and in-person acting, but like theatre, film and stuff. I'd love to do more theatre because that is what I'm trained in, like that. And I used to fight my lecturer at uni because I made a show reel and it was so bad. Like, and he was like, Isla, you need to get, and I was like, Ian, I'm never gonna do film. I only do theatre. I'm only ever gonna do theatre. And then I've left, and the two things I've done are screen and voice acting. So I really want to do theatre because that is kind of like it's where I am incredibly comfortable, and I've done it since I was a child, and it would just be really nice to do. But yeah.
So like, because being trained in theater, really, you're trained to interact with people, you're trained to work with others on scenes and stuff like that. And in the game, Clove does interact with all the other agents, and it ultimately it changes with different voice actors. So you have different voice lines and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering, how did it feel for the first time for you? How did it feel recording the one side of a conversation, really?
So weird. Because like I said, like it wasn't even just like it was isolating because I was in the booth. It was isolating because it was just me and Ian, the technician, because everyone else was on Zoom. So also at that point in time, like nobody knew like of Clove, like not even the other actors and stuff. So all of my interactions were just recorded to nothing. Like, and a couple times, because I did do my research like a proper theatre actor, I sat down and watched so many lore videos on Valorant and like researched all the agents and like did all that. But there were so many times I'd be like, okay, can I have the context for this? Because I genuinely do not know who this is. Like, but the interaction lines are so funny. But I went into them blind.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, because I couldn't hear what they were going to respond with, and actually I didn't know what they were going to respond with.
Yeah.
All I had was my line. So I was just saying.
You were just saying the line.
The line.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So it must have felt like you were really just talking to yourself, really.
Yeah. There's a couple that I've seen in the game that I didn't know were interactions. But they are.
Yeah, because I would expect there to be pauses, and you do hear the pauses like in the game because you know, like, oh, you got to stitch two different lines of a conversation together, really.
Yeah. Some of the the Clove script is absolutely spectacular, but some of the interactions, like, I didn't know what the responses were. Like, there's one where I didn't know I think I'm speaking to Reyna, and I say something like, "Whoa, love your attitude," and I just thought the line was going to be, "Whoa, love your attitude," but then I just found out it's actually a response to Reyna going, "I like to see the light drain from their eyes." But I didn't know that.
So, then were you surprised when you heard the full context of your side of the conversation then?
Oh yeah, loved it. Like, oh, it's really fun to be just goofy in a video game. Like, Clove is just goofy.
Right.
It's amazing. But hearing the interactions make it even like so much more ridiculous and funny. But yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah. So normally when students graduate, it takes them a little bit of time to find their ideal job, the one that fits their work to life balance or has the right salary. And so it takes them like a decent amount of time to find the right job. But for you, you've gone from graduating to being a part of such a large game like Valorant. So how exactly does it feel to make that jump so soon in your life?
Mental. Like, it's just it is just mental. Like, I know how fortunate and lucky I am, and I know that so many people work their asses off and it's just like, again, imposter syndrome, it's mental. Like, because I've just been incredibly lucky with the 2 massive gigs that I've had. But yeah, it's just overwhelming. I can't put into words how it feels to be a beginner in this situation, because especially joining Valorant, like, it's crazy. It isn't how normal beginner, like normal graduate careers start. Like, all of my mates that I went to uni with are doing the usual thing of going to work a job and do it. I've just really been lucky, and I'm so fortunate, and it's a lot. It's a lot for my brain to handle, and it's still not sunk in. Like, it really hasn't. It really hasn't. Like, I'm still getting used to like tweeting and then realizing that people like read my tweets.
Right. Yeah.
Because till 2 weeks ago, I had 60 followers.
What's it at now?
Now I've got 3,000, like over 3,000.
Wow.
So like, I used to tweet stupid things, and now I still do, and then realize, oh, people are actually going to see this.
Yeah.
I can't. It's so. I'm still adjusting, and I can't really put into words or give like a proper response, because I'm still like.
So, we've heard about your experience so far. What would you rate it out of 10?
10. Completely, it's a 10. I'm 22, and I've got a career that 15-year-old Isla could only dream of. Like, and the team that worked on Clove, like, I said to my mate the other day, I was like, it's just so, I'm so lucky to not only have this job and be having in a successful like game, but also having a team that made them with love. Like, the writers are spectacular. Like, the direction was so much fun, and like, it was the nicest team, and like, I never had any issues. There was no problems. Like, it was really great. Like, it was just getting to record in Edinburgh, like, also 5 minutes down the road from me. Brilliant. Like, it was amazing. I just rolled out of bed and got there. Like, I couldn't ask for a better experience, and Riot are just like the best. Like, they've treated me so well. They've made sure I'm safe. They're looking after me, because they know kind of fish out of water for me. Like, I don't know what's going on, so they're just there for me, which is amazing. Like, I could not rate it higher for this job, you know.
Yeah. And earlier you had said that you were keeping this a secret, really, from your friends and family. So what was their reaction, and what's been their reaction since they found out you were Clove?
Well, I think I'm the talk of my mother's work. Like, my mum is telling everyone she works with, and then she was like, oh, I met this man, and he loves the game, and he says that he loves Clove. And I was like, brilliant, thanks, mum. Like, she's telling everyone that'll listen. Like, my family have just been like, this is mental. Like, because also, like, I told my parents I was working on a video game, because I had to explain to them why I was like taking a lot of time off my day-to-day job and like all that stuff. So they knew I was working on a video game. Other than that, like, no one else knew. My friends have been losing their minds, because like, the worst was when they posted the agent reveal. I wasn't allowed to confirm or deny for 2 days. But I had like over, like, I think it was about 14 people of my friends in my DMs going, "This is you." They all recognized my voice, and I had to just turn off Instagram for like for those 2 days, because I was like, I'm not going to respond, but I'm not going to, like, you know. But yeah, so my mates have been losing their minds. One of my mates did message me the other day and was like, "By the way, I really hate that you're in Valorant, because you're all I hear now. Like, I'm not safe. I'm not safe when I'm away from you now." I was like, "Yes, you have to listen to me all the time now."
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just been, it's kind of, everyone's in that weird, like, wild, like, this is mental. And I'm like, yeah, it's mental. Like, but it's been great. Like, it's been, I've got a very supportive family, like, little family and friend unit, so it's been lovely.
So one last thing is, you and Clove have something in common. You're both non-binary. So would you say that there are parts of your journey or representation that helped influence your portrayal of Clove?
Yes. Like, the whole theme of, like, transformation and rebirth that comes with Clove really hands itself into that, into the non-binary experience. And as a non-binary person, like, getting to portray a character like Clove is just crazy. Like, I'm quite passionate about portraying trans and non-binary people as people, and you don't have to be in your face, or your whole character doesn't have to be based on your transness. Because, like, I go weeks without remembering that I am trans, you know, like, it's one of those things. So I'm really lucky that the two non-binary characters that I've played professionally, well, Clove never really mentions it, because no one really does. It's just part of my life that I get on with. But yeah, like, getting to portray a non-binary character that is, like, people love because they're fun and quirky and silly, and not being, like, you know, not having it be their whole thing, you know. And it really does confuse me when, like, people focus on the transness and non-binariness of the character, because at the end of the day, Clove is, like, is changing the meta in Valorant, is a massive deal to the game itself, and it's fun and silly. Why are you focusing on 2 words?
Yeah, because at the end of the day, it's another character in the Valorant roster. It's not hurting anyone. The reactions have mainly been positive online as well, especially within the trans and non-binary community. They feel they have some representation in the game now, and I think that's ultimately a positive, really.
No, completely. My Twitter and, like, my mentions and my DMs are filled with so many trans and queer people that play Valorant that are like, the character means so much to me, and I was like, you mean so much to me, because that's, at the end of the day, that is why I'm so proud to be a non-binary person, because I can show other younger and fellow non-binary people that, like, it is safe, and the world is a nice place, and it is cool to be you. But there's people out there that are close-minded, but time will come, and, you know, gotta keep the heat.
Yeah. So before we go, I want to thank you so much for coming on today and speaking with me, and sharing your very first voice acting experience being with Valorant. I wish you every success going forward with all your future projects as well.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me. It's been lovely.
I really look forward to hearing about things you got going on in the future as well. And I'm particularly looking forward to your audiobook as well in the future.
Stop.
Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, then leave a like and a comment below, and subscribe if you want to see more voice actor interviews like this in the future. See ya!